Hello everyone, I'm Jessicat, and welcome back to another episode of Uncut Ramblings. We're starting up pretty much where we left off last episode, except as you may notice, the eggs are a bit more cracked than they were at the end of last episode because I've been doing a little bit of work here in between episodes, but really not much. And today's topic of Uncut Ramblings, the series where I go into a podcast-like discussion of a topic that interests me, is swearing and the use of swear words in language. Now, I find it always really interesting whenever people say, swear words are just words. You shouldn't get offended by them. They're just, a collection of letters that have no meaning other than the meaning you choose to be offended by. And I've always found that a really interesting take to have, and one that I strongly disagree with, actually. And I want to explain that today. So, the reason I think that swear words aren't just words is because, yes, if you want to be that strict about it, if you want to be pedantic, yes, they're just words, but in that sense, every word is just a word. And there's a reason that we use certain words in certain contexts. For instance, there's a reason we have things called thesauruses, right? Thesauruses or thesauri, I'm not sure what the plural is, exist to give us synonyms, and those synonyms are there to help us convey meaning in a precise way, right? The reason you go looking for a synonym is because you probably have a word that means kind of what you want to say, but not exactly, and you want that precise meaning, you want that exactness. And so that's why you go looking for synonyms. It's the same. These words have meanings that we ascribe to them, and it's the same. It's for that reason that you can't just go, okay, I'm going to define every word however I want. So from now on, the word pen actually means CD, and the word island actually means a small star in the sky just north of the North Pole. I don't know. I'm making things up clearly, but you see what I mean. Is because you could say that, you could do that, you could change the meaning of a word, but if it's not widely used, then it's completely pointless as language. And so language is this thing we use to give meaning to thoughts and to be able to express ourselves in a precise way, in a meaningful way. And it's also a thing we do to shoot, completely lost my train of thought. What was I just talking about? I'm so sorry, I just completely forgot my second point there. The sources was the first thing I talked about, which, meaning. And oh dear. Well, I've completely forgotten what I was talking about. Anyway, so the whole point here is that, oh right, yeah, you can't just redefine words, because language is something we all collectively agree upon as a group of language speakers. If the entire group has to agree, or most of the group has to agree on what a word means, otherwise it's just pointless. So then the point of saying that is that the society as a whole, and maybe there are people who disagree with this. In fact, I know there are people who disagree with this because I've seen them saying stuff like this, both on the internet and in real life. And I know there are people who disagree with the idea that swear words are more than just words. But yes, yeah, in that sense, they are just words, but then if you go with that, any word is just a word. And I think we have to agree as a society that if we're going to get anywhere, words have to have meaning, and therefore, as a society, we have decided that swear words have this extreme meaning to them, right? They're bad. They have this vulgarity to them that no other words have, and that's what makes them special, and that's what makes them bad. That's what makes them swear words, and that's why you use them for swearing. And so, my whole point here is that if swear words were just words, you wouldn't use them. I mean, why would you say SHIT to respond to a terrible situation when you could just say, oh shoot? And why would you say the F word to respond to a situation when you could just say fiddlesticks, So there's a reason we use this strong language. It's because it expresses a strong emotion. It expresses this feeling of anger, frustration, immense sadness, just huge emotion in a way that no other words can. And so I really disagree with the idea that swear words are just words, because they're not. They are words that have this specific extreme meaning, and they are there so that you can have words that have that extreme meaning. And along with that comes, yes, people being offended, because some people I think especially people get offended when they think that a certain word, a certain swear word shouldn't be applied to a certain situation. They think, man, you shouldn't be, that's disrespectful, or that's uncalled for, or that's just too extreme for the situation at hand. And so, yes, they're getting offended, but I think they have a right to be offended. You shouldn't go around telling them, oh, you shouldn't be offended because I used this word, it's just a word. It's like, no, you used a word that has a very extreme connotation. You used a word that is supposed to provoke a reaction, that is supposed to make someone feel that you have an extreme feeling toward this situation. You should not be telling them that they are not allowed to react. You just expressed a strong feeling. You should be prepared for people to have strong feelings about that strong feeling, is how I feel about that. Now, I personally don't think there's any issue with swearing. I think if it's a way you want to express your emotions, that's great. But I don't think we should be forcing everyone to agree with that, because some people do think that it's uncalled for in certain situations or inappropriate, and I do agree with that to some extent. I do think that we should try to keep swearing out of every situation, because, swearing when you're at a dinner party with a business client or something, I don't know, is probably not a good idea, because it shows that you're quick to emotion, you're quick to anger, and you may be acting more on an emotional level instead of a logical level, and I think there should be some boundaries. Oh, hey, little guys! Oh, they're so cute. They're so adorable. And come on, more? No, not yet. Okay. We got babies. That's cool. So yeah. So we should have some boundaries, some points where we say, yeah, it's not okay to use these words here because they have extreme meanings, and we want to stay cool and not express too much of that emotion, because we want to act like we're logical and we're businesslike and we're fancy, and that's why I think bad words are considered unposh, uncivilized, I guess, is because they express extreme emotion, which is the opposite of the level-headedness, the coolness, the logicalness, that's not a word, that the higher mind is supposed to have, right? If that makes any sense at all. I hope that makes some sense. So, would the words still have their power if no one was offended by them? I don't know. I would argue that they wouldn't, because part of the reason you use these words, I think, is because they have that power. But some people might argue that they would, that if no one was offended by these words, people would still use them, they'd still have the same meaning. That's fine. I don't really care. I don't think it has too much relevancy? I don't think it's too relevant to the argument. And another thing that I wanted to address is people overusing swearing. People swearing all the time, throwing in the F word every third word or whatever. We've all heard those people. We've all heard those sentences, right? We all know what I'm talking about, I assume. And I think that is, they have a right to do that, obviously. I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing it, I guess. Well, I'm saying they shouldn't be doing it, but they totally have a right to. They have free speech. They can say whatever they want. So sure, if you want to say the F word every third word, go ahead. But I think that part of the power of swear words is the fact that they're used somewhat infrequently, right? Generally, those people that I've just been talking about don't do that all too often. Sorry, you don't encounter them all that often. I'm sorry, I'm muddling up my words here. And so, when you hear a swear word, it's not that frequent, and that's part of the reason why it expresses such intense emotion. It's because we save it up. And I think that's why overutilizing swear words can be a bit of a dangerous thing, because it does take away the power of the words, right? And if you start rubbing away at those edges, you start sanding the swear words down, then they're going to be less effective. And then what are you going to say? You're going to invent something even more offensive and terrible? I don't know. These are just thoughts. I'm not sure if they're going anywhere. But yeah, I don't think it's a good idea if you do want to swear, I don't think it's a good idea to say the words over and over again, because then they just lose all meaning. It's like when you read something, you know how when you read something and it's using the same word over and over again, maybe it's an essay about cows, and you're reading this essay and it has the word cow every 15 words, and it's like, cows do this, cows do that. Cows are very intelligent animals, and they actually shouldn't be mistreated by humans because they are valuable and they have feelings too. Cows are really cool creatures, and I think cows, and it just keeps going on and on about cows. Eventually the word cow is not going to look like a word to you. It's not going to feel like it has any meaning at all. I think that's what it is with swear words as well. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Like, if you do swear, maybe don't do it so much, because you're not doing yourself a favor, I think. And then I also wanted to talk about why, oops, I should not be standing on these eggs. Yes, I wanted to talk about why I should not be standing on these eggs. No, I wanted to talk about why I don't swear. I don't believe I've ever said a single swear word on this channel. If you have evidence to the contrary, please do prove me wrong, but I don't swear in general. I don't usually say swear words unless it's like in a book that I'm reading out loud for some reason. I will only say it if it's scripted, because I don't really feel the need for it. So technically I kind of want to keep this channel kid-friendly, you know? I want to make sure that kids can watch these videos and they don't have to hear me swearing, and parents, you know, for reasons I have described, parents don't necessarily want their kids hearing that stuff because it's offensive and it's extreme, and that those words have extreme meanings, and therefore they create extreme responses, as I've said before. So I want kids to be able to listen to this and not hear the swearing. So that's one of the reasons why. But also, my parents just raised me not to swear. Like, my parents never really swear. I mean, my dad does a bit, but my mom, I think I've heard her swear like twice, and she was really angry in those times, and I think the swearing was justified. But both of my parents have always really thought I should not swear. And my siblings shouldn't either. Like, they're very, very strict about that, and I think it's fair, right? If you raise your kids to not swear, they might come off as less socially, as fitting in less socially, but they also might come off cooler, more level-headed, you know, not cooler as in, you know, like rad cool, like, you know, like cooler as in not hot-headed, the opposite of hot-headed, if you will. But I'm not sure how true that is, but that's what I think they believe, and they in general believe that swearing is not a thing that you should do very often. And I also agree with that. Obviously, my upbringing could have something to do with that, but I agree that I don't think there's much I need to swear about. I think in general, the emotions expressed through swearing are uncalled for in most situations. Not all situations. If you want to swear at, say, a politician who is really not fixing a problem that they need to solve and that really needs to be addressed, something really big. If you want to swear at someone who is being deliberately ignorant about a topic that is really, really important, then yeah, sure, I get it. Swear about that. Swear about things that are super important, but swearing if you, like, stub your toe, that I feel like that kind of diminishes increases the emotional response to something that should not have too much of an emotional response. And I think if you start swearing about stuff, you'll start getting more emotionally invested in them and start getting angrier about stuff, start being more sad about stuff, and start making things out to be more extreme than they actually are. That's just my opinion. I would love to hear your opinion in the comments, because I'm pretty sure that's where I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching me ramble about swearing. I'm sad that these little baby turtles haven't grown up yet. I kind of want to leave this project behind because I don't want to bore you all by hanging around here for too long, but, you know, obviously the main focus is on what I'm talking about anyway, and hope you enjoyed that. Maybe you agreed with me, maybe you didn't. Either way, I hope you got something out of this, and thank you so much for watching. And I will see you next week, hopefully with a 300 subscriber special. Depends on whether we hit that magical number, eh? But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!